Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to Pistol Australia webinar number 2. And we're going to be talking to some legends of action pistol. That's our topic for today, number 2. For all the people who are joining us, we've got about 20 people online at the moment. Just so you know, down on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. So if at any time you want to ask some questions while we're going along, then hit on the Q&A, type the questions in, they'll come up and we'll deal with them as we get to them. We're going to run through the 4 stages of action pistol that we shoot here in Australia. And of course, I'll start off by introducing our special guest panelists today. Firstly, we've got world champion Cherie Blake. She's the current ladies world action pistol champion, 1907 and 142 X's there, I think, in your world championship score.
Yeah.
Current Bianchi Cup ladies champion, that's the US national champion. And current Australian ladies champion, I think 9 times maybe Australian champion.
No, I don't think that many.
Anyway, that cements her as the #1 action ladies pistol holder with the Australian, US and World Championship under her belt. And she also competes against her husband quite regularly, Mark, who's a very, very good shooter. We've got Craig Ginger online here. Now, he's a pistol coach for Pistol Australia and a PA and NRA judge in action match. He competed in the very first Action Nationals at St Ives Pistol Club in 1989, where he won the Open Practical event. He's been the Pistol Australia team in action match at the Bianchi Cup and the World Championships in America, New Zealand, Germany and Australia on multiple occasions. He's currently operations coordinator at the Sydney National Shooting Centre in the Southern Highlands Range. So welcome along, Craig.
Hi guys, how are you?
Also, we have Bryan Blakey. Bryan does a lot of work here with Action Pistol, Bianchi Cup and World Championship team manager. He's a referee, he's an organising secretary for a couple of Action Pistol National Championships. He is the organising secretary and match director for the 2020 World Action Pistol Championship. So that's hopefully coming up later in the year. Pistol Queensland Director of Competitions and President of Toowoomba Pistol Club. So we got all you guys online there. I'm hoping we can hear everyone.
Yep.
Yep.
Can't actually hear you guys. So what's happening with my audio here? Let's see what we've got. Is everybody online there?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I'm online.
I'm not quite hearing anyone, so I'm not sure what's happening there.
We're on. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, how's that?
That better?
There we go. I'm back. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I had a bit of a dip in my audio here and I couldn't quite hear everyone. So, so welcome along, guys. Firstly, Cherie, welcome to the show. Obviously for yourself, there, reigning world champion, you're hoping to defend that title if we can get ahead with the World Championship later in the year. We're just not sure, obviously, with the current climate where we're going to get with that.
I know it's disappointing for everyone, but everyone's in the same boat. But yeah, I was really looking forward to having a crack at the World Championships in Toowoomba. The range is a good range, so I was ready to start training hard.
Yeah, it is indeed. You compete against your husband quite a lot. Obviously, both of you very top-class shooters. Who's the best, you or your husband, Mark?
I would have to confess that Mark is the better shooter. Like his discipline and consistency is just amazing. Like I don't think, and I suppose it's a bit of a humble brag because I'm quite proud of how much he's done. But he's shot since we've been shooting, I've not seen any other competitor shoot as many perfect scores, 1920, as Mark does. But the really frustrating thing for me is he does sort of half the training I do because he's actually a better rifle shooter than he is a pistol shooter. So actually, it's a bit frustrating at times for me.
Well, great to have you along. Bryan, you're sitting up there at the Toowoomba Pistol Range. Obviously, we had the Nationals there last year, and we're hoping, obviously, to have the World Action Pistol Championship later in the year, subject to, obviously, what's happening with COVID-19 around the planet.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite unusual to be here at the range on a Saturday afternoon and there's no shooting happening. Normally we've got at least 4 of the ranges in use on the Saturday afternoon, and obviously with the current situation, the range is closed, and hopefully everyone out there is staying safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, decisions will be made. We can't speculate where we're going to be for the World Championship or when it's going to be, but fingers crossed that we get over this current world crisis and you can all get back on the range. Part of the reason why we selected 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon for the show was obviously that's a fairly common time for people to be at the range competing. Now you're all sitting at home and joining us online and getting to talk to some of the stars of our sport. Craig, I read recently there's a new division coming in or been proposed to come into Action Pistol, which will help a lot of people come into the sport.
Yeah, the Action Pistol's been approved for production optics, which is our standard production gun with an optics mounted to the slide. So it fits into the same as a production gun rules. However, you can put a sight on the rear, which for a lot of us that are getting old, mate, it helps with the sight alignment where you don't have to find that sight or have glasses the size of Coke bottles so you can see them. Yeah,
so for people whose eyesight is maybe not as good as it used to be or who probably maybe never had great eyesight, you can still compete in this match and be quite successful.
Oh, yeah, yep, definitely. It doesn't matter. There's a number of different pistols that fit the requirements and you can mount the optics to them and away you go. So it is a cheaper option for people to get into the sport rather than trying to build a full-out open gun, which is quite expensive. You can start off with a production optics and get you in at a good price.
Oh, that's fantastic news. So hopefully we can encourage people who in part of the Pistol Australia family, or even if you're outside of the group and you're not a member yet, join up, and there's many, many different matches you can have a go at. Obviously today we're talking about Action Pistol, which is very close to the hearts of the people we have on the panel. So what we want to do for you, ladies and gentlemen, is take you through the 4 matches that we shoot here in Australia, and then Bryan, we'll get him later on to talk about there's 13 actual matches in the rule book. So we don't shoot all of them here in Australia, but we shoot 4 of them at most of our championships. Bryan, that's correct?
Yeah, that's right. There's the main 4 matches that there's the 4 matches that we shoot for sanctioned opens and state championships, national titles, but actually the 13 other matches that are often shot at club level, and some of those matches are a lot of fun to get involved with, something just away from the actual competitions that we shoot.
Okay, so bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. I've got 4 videos here to take us through the stages, so I'm just going to have to queue them up, and we'll give them a second to load up, and then we'll run and we'll get the panel here just to talk over what's happening during this stage. So we're going to start with Barricade. So let me just get the Barricade video up. 1 second here, and I've just got to go to share my screen, and here it comes. So are you ready to go? And let's have a look at Barricade. So obviously they're using the Barricade there to rest the firearm on. They shoot left and right side, right and left-handed?
With the metallic sight gun, you don't have to shoot right and left-handed. You can shoot right-handed on both sides. So the video there showing the guys in the metallic division, but you can, for the guys in PA that shoot service pistol, you can draw and change hands to your left hand for the left-hand side if you want to, but you don't have to.
Okay.
The open is a different grip altogether to what they're using there with their metallic. And see, that's Brett, and he's changing hands for the left-hand side.
Yeah, being a little bit ambidextrous there is obviously a bit of a skill.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit quick too. You've got a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think, like for me, the Barricade with metallics is one of the hardest matches in the 4 matches with metallic sights because it is so quick. But with the opposite is the case with the open gun, where you're allowed to actually mount the gun and clamp it with your hands onto the Barricade. So it's funny that in one division, it's actually a lot harder than it is with the other division, just the way the guns are made up.
And every match here and every stage of the match is shot under time constraints as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Barricade is actually quite fast. You have at 10 yards, you have 5 seconds to draw your pistol from the surrender position to draw your pistol and get your 6 shots off. So it's actually pretty fast. And then you get a second at each further distance, but it is actually pretty fast shooting.
Yeah, it's pretty tight time. You've got to be very ready to go, and you've got to be really switched onto it. Otherwise, obviously, you're going to miss a shot.
Yeah,
Markets turn away, and that's it. It doesn't count.
that's right.
So I'll go around the panel here. What's your favourite discipline? We haven't gone to the others yet, but what's your favourite discipline or favourite stage of the match?
Oh, for me, there's a bit of a love-hate relationship with all of them. They can all have their moments of tripping you up, but I guess barricade is probably for me one of the easiest ones, because I mainly shoot open division, so you can, now that you've got the technique down pat, it's one of the easiest ones and perhaps one of the safest ones. But look, each of them have their own problems or issues that can trip you up very easily in a competition. So I don't know if I have a favourite. I just try and deal with each match as they come along.
As long as you shoot a perfect score, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Oh, no, I suppose it doesn't.
Okay, let's go now to the practical. So we'll get that video up. Just give me 1 second. And let's cue this up and get it playing. Here we go with our practical. This is a bit of a time lapse showing the various stages here. They're moving back, some are going to prone.
I guess what we couldn't really see at that first distance much was the probably one of the hardest stages of the whole match is when you have to change hands and shoot with your weak hand only at the 10-yard point. It's the only point you do it in the whole match, but it can be really where matches are won or lost, just those 6 shots there.
Yeah, again, you want to start off, obviously the close one, you want to try and get maximum score across all of them.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks there on shooting that stage of the match?
Oh, that's great. He's great at that.
I think that training's a big thing for that match, is knowing the timing, how much time you've got to do each section. It's really important that you use your time to side align and get your shots off as best you can. Like Cherie was talking about with the weak hand, if you know how much time you've got and you don't panic, it's not that hard to do. But it's if you fumble the draw or you get a little bit out of timing, you tend to panic. You see the people pick their pace up shooting, and then the shots go everywhere. And the option with the match is from 15 yards back to 50, you can stand or go prone. But if you want to shoot a high X count, your options are better to go prone. You'll shoot the middle out better.
You've got more control. You've got the bottom of the stock there on the gun. You can rest it on the ground, so it gives you a bit more control. Yeah,
you can pop the gun down and you can, but that varies too. Grounds are different. Each range is different. You have some ranges with concrete pads and some that have dirt and gravel. So again, it's about setup and being patient when you're setting yourself up to shoot to make sure that you find the right spot. And when you go prone, you hit that right spot, because if you don't, and you're on a gravel base like in Bianchi, and the ground's not always at a level, if you hit the wrong spot, the gun doesn't point where you want it to, then things can turn ugly very quickly.
Yeah, so you would go out on the range where you're on the channel you're competing on, and you'd go and check that out. And you'd maybe put some marks on the ground where you're going to go when you go down prone.
Yeah, you can't really put marks on the ground, but when you have a sight picture, you get a sight picture before each section. So when you take your sight picture, that's when you'll put something down like a rock or a small stick or even your magazine on the ground, roughly where you want the gun to place on the pad when you go prone, so that you're pretty consistent where you're putting the gun.
Yeah, obviously training-wise, to get down to prone, you've got to do a bit of work there, getting down, getting up, and a bit of flexibility, a bit of core strength too to get down.
Getting down's easy, not getting up.
But you're not timed in the getting up bit, so it's okay.
Well, looking at the range there at Toowoomba, Bryan, you've got concrete pads, so it's a pretty good environment for the shooters to get down into the prone position.
It is, yes, and we shoot on Dylan mats at Toowoomba as well, which Dylan mats on concrete can be a bit harder to shoot from. It does make the shooting surface a bit more bouncy. So,
okay, so the butt of the gun going down there, it's going to bounce off the mat a bit, and you're going to get a bit of lift.
Because the pads have cushioning in them, it's harder to hold that gun steady, particularly when it's on concrete.
The pads, though, obviously for knees and elbows and chest bones and stuff hitting the ground? You want to.
Some people use knee pads and elbow pads, and others just get carpet burns.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's no restrictions on equipment to protect your body, like pads and elbow pads, and they're all right. It just, yeah, as Bryan said, the introduction of the Dylan mat was a fair few years ago, and it was quite a shock to a lot of us who'd always shot on carpet and concrete, where you'd fire the shot, the gun would hardly move, and now you find yourself on a surface that's uneven and the gun's bouncing all over the place. Like I said, the more training you do, the more you get set in your own timing, and when the gun doesn't react the way you want it to, then it can get untidy. So pretty much since the introduction of, I think most of the higher end shooters that are shooting it have stuck to buying their own Dylan mat, or made sure they've got Dylan mats to train on before we go to a big match.
Okay, so you're familiar with the placement. I mean, you probably can't cut a hole in the front of the mat there so your gun sits hard on the ground, can you?
No, not at all.
So if you're on the mat, do you have to place the gun on the mat, or can you place the gun in front of the mat?
You can
place it. You can place it in front of the mat. You don't have to put it on the mat. So yeah, that's your own choice.
I guess then if you place it on the ground in front of the mat, it's then a little bit lower than it would normally be. So there's an adjustment you need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I've actually tried shooting with the gun on the concrete, and yeah, it's not a good feeling.
Oh, okay, on the mat and the gun on the concrete doesn't work for you, so.
Not
it can. It depends on where the concrete, how the concrete points, and you can put a tape or a little bit of something on the bottom of your base pad to help you. But if the gun doesn't point straight at the target when you want it to, you're better off on the mat, because you do have a bit of adjustment in the mat with it being spongy that you can line the gun up. So it's a catch-22. It's how you're comfortable.
And the pad on the bottom of the gun there, is that adjustable in height? Is that a personalised thing, or is there a rule to that?
No, it's fixed. It's fixed on the gun. You can't adjust it, but it is.
Is it any size you want, or is there a rule?
Yeah, whatever suits you.
Okay, so again, in training, you're going to be taking that out on the range. Maybe you're trying different size ones, working out where you get down, where you get the best sight picture, and get the best line up for the targets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you, the older you get, the higher the pad gets.
I had a go at Yarra a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't get down low enough. It wasn't high enough. I said, no, I can't get down. Give it a miss. I'll go with something else. So I understand how hard it is, and then trying to dive down on the ground, not exactly easy either. So.
And just backtracking to what Bryan was talking about, the different techniques going prone. If you're starting out with action, watch some of the better shooters like Craig or Brett in Queensland that are really quite slick at going prone, because you can do it in such a way where you're not landing on your knees and causing, damage later on or whatever. Like don't just go to your knees and go prone that way. Go and learn and watch some of the techniques so that you're not injuring yourself later on if you're new to action.
Yeah, you've got to get used to the match, obviously. So
yeah.
We might go to a question. We've got one up here straight away. How long does it take to shoot the match? Now, obviously, there's 4 stages. So, yeah, who wants to take that one on?
Bryan.
So really, the whole barricade match, you can get through that match in about 15 minutes. If you're organised and everyone's doing what they're meant to do, you get through a barricade match in about 15 minutes. When you're squadding, you generally allow 20 minutes for the plate match, per detail for the plate match, and practical. That's to allow for changing targets and painting the plates between details. So when I'm squadding out, that's what I allow for those matches. To shoot the moving target, you have a maximum of 7.5 minutes to shoot the mover. But most people actually shoot the mover between 4 and 5 minutes. Very seldom that anyone takes longer. Very seldom that anyone takes over 7 minutes. But if you get to that 7.5 minute time slot, the target will stop coming out and your match is over. So the matches themselves, don't take that long to shoot. However, when you've got a lot of competitors, it does take longer to get through all 4 matches.
Yeah, it does indeed. I mean, obviously, I know that up at Toowoomba, you're shooting 2 competitors on the plate range at the same time. I think on the other ones, you've got 4. 3
So
at a time.
we had 3. We had 3 plate racks here. So when we shoot in plates, we put 3 people through at a time. The plates have got locks on them, so we can actually shoot more than 1 competitor at a time. Over on the barricade and rack range, we actually put 5 competitors through at a time. The slow point is always the mover, because most ranges only have 1 mover, so you can only have 1 person go through that at a time. And if you're doing 7-minute squadding or 8-minute squadding, you're only going through about 5 people an hour.
Yeah, and the more competitors you have, the longer it takes. Obviously, you'd love to have lots of competitors, so you could, this will take days and days to compete through, because the more competitors, the more vibrant action pistol will be.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions. I'm going to hold those over just for the moment. I'm going to go to our next one. We haven't seen plates yet, so we've just been talking about that. So let me just get the plates video up for us. Okay, and this is quite a good one to show how this is run. So here we go with the plates. Let's have a look at this. Obviously, very instant reaction there, whether you hit or miss. You can see the plates hitting the ground or tipping over. And I think, as you said, Brian, you go through and you paint the plates after each go. So I'll just...
That's right.
Yeah.
Each competitor gets clean plates, so they're all white when they start the match. The plates would probably be my favourite match, to be honest. I always think shooting reactive targets is a good match. Any reactive targets are a good match. Problem with the plates is it's 10 or nothing. There's no 8 ring on plates. So
yeah.
And it doesn't take much. Everyone can have a bad day, and you just miss 1 plate, and that certainly ruins your day.
Yeah.
Craig Park said, and I think it's fairly common amongst you guys, is there's no 8s on plates.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Obviously, looking at the footage, some people are shooting left to right or right to left. It's completely personal preference.
Generally depends if you're left or right-handed. Most right-handed shooters would shoot from right to left, and most left-handed would shoot from left to right, although there are exceptions to that.
I guess also it comes down to the dominant eye, whether you're right-hand eye or left-hand eye dominant, and that's a test, obviously, that shooters go through and work out what eye they're going to sight through.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. But big thing with the plates, where probably that people don't tend to take enough time on the plates. You put a target up and you've got a black X ring, and people go, "Oh, I've got to try and shoot the X's," but they come to the plates and they think anywhere on the white will do, and they should be adopting the same attitude. If you first 6 shots go on your first 6 plates right in the middle, your eye will just go to that point every time. So those first 6 make a lot of difference. If you hit the middle of the plate for the first 6 all the way back, you keep going back to that black spot. Whereas if you've got shots all around the plates, you've got no central area that you're really trying to aim up to every time. So me personally, I just try to hit the middle on the first 6, just basically shooting X's on the plates, and then I just chase that same spot all the way back.
So you're, in effect, you're creating your own X ring.
Yep. Shoot an X in the middle, then just keep trying to just make that spot bigger.
Get them all in the same hole or same place.
Pretty much, yeah.
Bryan saves on paint then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the questions. A couple of good ones here. So we'll go Michelle Breen here. This one's for Cherie. You talked about how much you train in comparison to Mark, and for those of us that might be thinking about getting into a new discipline, can you give us an idea of how often you do train? And obviously there's a bit of a difference there when you're going to compete up to the elite level, but is there any cross training you do also, and how much training do you do?
I suppose Mark and I try and get to the range at least once a week to do live fire, and when we're heading into higher peaks of competition period, we'll try and get there a couple of times. And I guess the good thing with Mark and I, in New South Wales, it's a law that you have to have 2 shooters on a range, that you can't shoot by yourself, but Mark and I are always there at our range. But whenever we go, it's a competition day for Mark and I. There's no let up just because it's a practice day. We're both out there, like we won't give each other an inch on even practice days. So there's a bit of competition pressure there. So I think that's actually helped me. Might not have helped Mark, but it's helped me a bit. And I do a bit of fitness training, a lot of burpees, so that I can get down to the ground quick as well, is my tip for the prone activity.
So a perfect score in action pistol, it's 1920, 1920.
Yep.
And 192 X's. How many times?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you see that in competition where someone shoots a perfect across all 4 disciplines?
Never.
No, it's very difficult.
No, you'll see it. There's a few boys that have shot 1920s, and like I said, Mark shot a lot of 1920s last year. It was actually infuriating for probably the rest of us. But so for women, I don't believe there's been a woman that has shot a 1920 in a competition around the world. So that's something I've got my sights set on. So
You've been close, Cherie.
I know I've been close a couple of times at big matches too, but I just haven't got over the line yet. So that's what I said. And there've been different matches that have tripped me up too, which is quite funny. But it's not uncommon. Like at Bianchi, you have to shoot a 1920 to win. It's an unusual year if the top open man shooter hasn't shot a 1920 to win the match. And often there's a number of them, and it goes to count back on X's at a big event like Bianchi and the Worlds.
Yeah. So I think Mark last year won the men's, but I think he had 1-8 or something, or 1-9 in the mover, and he was a bit disappointed because he didn't get his 1920, but he's still got a national championship.
Yeah.
So hard marker.
He's a hard taskmaster on himself, yeah.
Craig, how do you go on the plates, mate? You like the plates, obviously. You're trying to shoot your X rings in the centre.
Craig is one of the best plate shooters around.
Yeah, well, he's already given us the tip there about shoot your X ring in the first 6 and then go from there. Getting up and down, obviously, as you said, it depends on the mat. You've got to try and get a nice, comfortable piece of ground, a nice, stable, level position.
Yeah, with the plates, yeah, I've done all right in the plates. Coming from a more of a to action match from a speed shooting background, probably makes it a little bit different, bit easier for me on the plates. But yeah, I've won the plates at the NRA at the Bianchi Cup a few times overall. So when you shoot 48 plates in your first run, you get a lot of people who do that. Then you go back again. So the count back on the plates is you start again at the 10-yard difference with 1 second less. So you start on 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you go back and do 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that sort of thing. So you've got to, and that's about timing. Really, I don't practice that much anymore, but I used to. I used to train to just continue on and go back and start again 1 second faster and pick the pace up all the way back.
And Mike, I've seen Craig knock all 6 plates down in 3 seconds.
There you go. Well, there's a question from one of our anonymous attendees. Is there a time limit to hit the plates?
Yep. So your first run in the normal part of the match is you get 6 seconds at 10 yards. 15 yards is 7, 20 yards is 8, and 25 yards is 9 seconds. That's all you've really got to worry about. You do the first 48, you get all those. Worry about the others when you go back for your count back, because once you get the 480, the rest is just a bonus to see who won the match.
The other thing with plates too,
it must be
the other thing with the plates and the timing is in action match you can't have backup shots, so you're only allowed to shoot 6 shots. So it's only 1 shot at each plate. So if you miss a plate, you can't, like in other events like IPSC, you can't back up and have another go at it. You only get 6 rounds for the 6 plates.
Bryan had a comment there.
That's I was going to say exactly what Cherie just said. You
Sorry,
can
Bryan.
you can do a backup shot, but you're going to get a 10-point penalty
Yeah.
for it.
Well, you are the referee, so you will know these rules, won't you? Okay, I've got a double question here from Joe Capitanov as a national development coach. He works mainly in the ISS space. First part is, do action pistol shooters do any form of dry fire training away from the range? And secondly, what percentage of training is done on the range and away from the range? So dry fire first, and then what percentage on the range and off the range?
I can take the dry fire bit. I will still do a bit of dry fire, but it's not really, for me, it's not a lot of trigger control, which is what he probably is teaching ISS shooters to do. For me, when I'm doing dry practice at home, it's about making sure I know making sure I'm really getting that muscle memory right for the change to the left hand, or going prone, or making sure I can grip the barricade right. So it's more of those technique things as opposed to doing trigger control type exercises at home.
So guys,
Yeah,
I guess, go on, Craig.
Oh, just to touch on what Cherie said. So a big part of dry fire is, because we draw from a holster, you can't place your gun in your hand and get that comfortable grip. So there's a lot more time spent setting your rig up or your holster up so that you've got the gun in the right place and it's consistent. So every time you go for a draw, the gun's in the same place. And that's a lot of your setup at home, is to make sure that you're putting the gun on the right way, or your holster on the right way every time, and you're gripping the pistol the right way coming out of the holster every time. And as I said before, timing's important. And if you fumble that draw, it can put you out.
And again, this is time in practice, getting used to and getting that muscle memory. The topic we talked about last week in the webinar was exercises to keep you fit while the ranges are closed, and one of them we did say was about dry firing at home. So keeping that muscle memory. So you're doing your draw, you're getting your arm up into the position where you'd be shooting. So when you go back to the range, you're not going to then get neck and shoulder injuries because you haven't done it for who knows how long. We don't know how long you're going to be locked out for, but you want to be ready to go when the opportunity comes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I put my Dylan mat out on the pad in my shed and just lay down and stretch out, because I know that when shooting does start again, the first time we go prone, it's going to hurt.
It's like playing a game of footy or something. You're not used to it, and you have aches and pains all over the place.
Do a hammy.
Stretch them arms out.
Okay, let's have a look. We've got a couple other questions here. Right, so we've got one from Eddie Jones here. I'm not sure if that's the Eddie Jones that used to coach the Wallabies and now coaching England. Welcome along from England if you're here, Eddie. What is the favourite match for each of the panel members?
Well, for me...
go on, Bryan, sorry.
For me, definitely the plates. I like to shoot the plates. I like to shoot reactive targets. And the plates are a good spectator match as well, because you get instant feedback, and particularly it's a great spectator match when we're shooting continuations, and you're watching the shooter go through the second less at each stage and getting down to that 3-second time frame, and seeing how good some of these shooters actually are, and it's good to shoot and it's good to watch.
People who shoot metallic silhouettes say a similar thing. It's the gratification of seeing the target fall down.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's progress now through to the mover. Now, I know at Nationals, Bryan, tell us how you set this up. You're generally trying to shoot the top 10 shooters on the mover. It's almost like a final. You don't have a final in this match, but it's almost like a final.
So at least when we shoot the mover, Mark won the national championships last year. So the national championships this year, Mark will be the last to shoot the mover, and basically it's shot in reverse order. So the person that won the nationals last year is the last to shoot it. The person that came second is the second last, third last, and so on. And if I'm squadding, I normally try and do that for at least the top 20, and it really makes that mover a pressure match, because those, particularly when you come to the top 10, the last day of the nationals, you'll have a number of them on an equal score with huge potential of shooting a 1920 being a possible, and it really puts pressure on everyone for those last 10 matches, and it's the one that can hold it together the most that wins on the day.
Well, that's an important point before we go to that vision of the mover, is the psychology around competing. You can do it at home on the range when there's no pressure, but it ramps up when you come to the range. And if you say there, it's the last 10 shooters, and maybe the 10th shooter has seen the scores of all the other people before him and knows that I've got to shoot a perfect score on this one if I want to take the national championship.
That's often the case, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that when we finally get to our World Championship up there in Toowoomba. That I think we're going to live stream that final match there on the mover and take it as a bit of a final, just to get people into the whole frame of it and maybe add a bit of pressure to the shooters as well.
Oh, awesome.
That would be really good.
You're all happy about that, aren't you? Okay, let me just cue the mover up and we'll get into it. So yeah, the first vision here is going to come up. It's going to be Mark shooting there, and I think this is vision from his final round there to win the national championship. So let's have a look at this. So speed of the target, Brian?
Sure.
60 feet in 6 seconds. So from one end to the other, you actually see the target for 60 feet, and you see it for 6 seconds. So it's traveling at 10 feet per second.
So the close up there, that's the red dot scope. We'll talk about equipment very shortly. And I think we're going to come up now. Oh, one more.
I always find when you watch the mover on the video, it seems to go quite slow. But when you're looking down through your sights, it certainly isn't moving slow.
Well, Cherie, there you're getting away with the shots pretty quickly. Obviously, that's the closest one there. You got 6 away in the first pass.
That's right, yeah. 6 seconds for the first 2 distances on each pass. So right to left, 6 shots in 6 seconds. Left to right, 6 shots in 6 seconds. Then you go back 15 yards and it's 6 shots again in each pass. And then when you get back to the last 2 distances, 20 and 25, it's only 3 shots, but you get 4 passes. So you're still shooting 12 shots at each distance, if that makes sense.
Obviously less time there, the longer distance, you haven't got time to get off 6 shots across in one go.
No.
Yeah, and the difference with the open guns and the metallic and production type guns is the open guns have a mover base, or most of them have a mover base on the bottom, and that you can flick your lead. So you actually dial the gun up to shoot in the middle all the time. Whereas with a metallic sight or production, or even the production optics division, you'll have to lead the target. So you'll have to know how fast your ammunition's going, how much lead you need to put in the different directions ahead of the target to be able to keep putting your shots in the middle.
And this also, depending on the distance you're shooting on each leg,
yep.
give us the distance that you shoot at, because if you're going to lead, you're going to lead a longer lead the further away you are from the target.
Correct. Yep. So, you know, you just work by rule of thumb, you're sort of like right on the edge of the X ring in both directions at 10, pretty much the same sort of area towards the outer 10 ring of the target, then between the 10 and the 8 at 20, and then sort of on the inside the edge, roughly at 25. So, but depending on how fast your bullets are going, and that's the sort of thing you need to work out and get set. And a lot of people cant or traverse differently from left to right, from right to left, depending on whether you're right-handed or left-handed. So, and how much you mash the trigger, you may need to give it a little bit more lead one way than the other.
Craig Park gave me a go down in Yarra when I was down there a couple of weeks ago, and just the first one there, and I had a run each way. And I said to him after, I said, I've only got 11 holes in the target. I think you put 1 less bullet in the gun.
You probably put 1 in the same hole, mate.
No, I think I just horribly missed. There wasn't too many in the centre, I can tell you. Anyway. Okay, let's take another question here. Well, so we've answered that one before. Anonymous here, Cherie, who's the better shooter between you and Mark? But you can go that one again for us. She might not have been on. That person might not have been on earlier.
Oh, I fessed up and I said it was Mark. And the frustrating thing, like I said before, he's actually a very good rifle shooter as well. Probably a better rifle shooter than he is pistol shooter. But it's just we are so lucky to have each other to train with and travel and compete all over the world with. It's really it's great that we shoot together, even though we're very competitive. But I think I have to give him the yes, he's the better shooter.
Bryan, now that we've looked at all of the 4 disciplines that we shoot mostly here at Nationals and you shot at the World Championship, tell us about some of the other stages that are available within the rule book of action pistol.
Like I said earlier, there's actually 13 other matches. There's another mover match, which is actually called the Texas Mover. This was a new match that was introduced maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That match is actually only shot at 10 and 15 yards. It's still a 48 round match. But the mover travels right to left and you shoot it 6 times. When it disappears behind the barricade, it disappears for a period of 3 seconds. And during that time, you have to reload and it will automatically come out again and you shoot it back from left to right. And it will stop for 3 seconds and you have to reload and shoot it again. So it does 4 passes per string. It's a good fun match. It really is fun. I remember the first time we tried it here at Toowoomba, I ran a guy through the match with a revolver and he was just way too slow. And he was looking at one end for the target, but it was actually down the other. And, it was quite interesting. Another one that's real fun, on the range report you were talking, you went through a rapid fire match. Rapid fire is also a match for action pistol, although we only shoot it as a 30 round match. So it's exactly the same as the ISSF rapid fire, only we're shooting it from centre fire guns and from a holster. Same timing and everything, so it gets down to, starts at 8 seconds, gets down to the 4 seconds, and at 4 seconds, like with most of the action matches, it's the competitor's choice if he stands or goes prone. Most people would go prone, and yeah, we will draw from the holster in the 4 second string and go prone and shoot the 5 shots at the targets. A good fun match, and sometimes it's good to just shoot some of those matches, particularly at club level, and just to have some fun and basically take the piss out of each other.
Very good, very good. Craig, now you've got some equipment there that you're going to show us and take us through some of the guns, some of the different competition guns. And I think you've got one of these new ones, this production optics gun as well.
Yeah, I'll see if I can just get this to swing around. So you got them?
Yes, we have.
Yep.
So basically a production gun. Any production gun that fits the IPC production requirement, I'll fit into this category. That's an XDM from Springfield Armory. So then you go along to the newer division, which is production optics. That's an Ergo Arsenal pistol. It's had a optics put onto the back of it. These are all Striker 5 pistols. A lot of guys that shoot CZs, they CZ Shadow 2s and that, they all fit the requirements. So the only thing with these guns is you can't do anything to them other than put an optic on it. In action match though, you are allowed to put an aftermarket barrel. So if you want to improve accuracy, because we're trying to shoot over 50 metres and hold, go back to the target, hold that ring just outside the black ring at 50 metres. So you want your gun to be fairly accurate. A lot of mucking around, get your loads right. Then there's metallic. So metallic gun, similar thing, but you can put a base pad on the bottom, and you know you can have Some guys do things like have adjustable front sights for the mover. I don't. I just tend to shoot the fixed gun. That's a SIG. And then you can take any metallic type pistol and set it up to do the metallic event. And then you go into open division, and there's just a couple of different guns there. So the back one's a 2011, built on a 1911 type format. As you can see, they've got mover mounts on them and a shroud, so you can actually hang on around the barricades. The part of the shroud is this section here, which has wings, and you can lock your finger onto the wings to hold it on the barricade fairly solid. And the other one is just a CZ built up to do the same thing. So you can build them on different formats, and the rest of it's just getting out and training with the gun for the division you want to shoot.
Mate, that's fantastic there, taking us through. You've got quite a collection. You are a registered gunsmith, I believe, in New South Wales, so you've got a bit of expertise in the area as well?
Oh, I wouldn't call it a gunsmith, mate, but I'm an armourer. But for those sorts of things, I send them to experts.
Very good. We've got a question here. It's not on the Q&A, it's just on the chat. What's the score for a junior to make a team in a state and national? Obviously, what is a sort of score, or what do you have to do to make a state or national team?
I'm not sure about the states. Unfortunately, we haven't got a lot of juniors, I think, because it is a sort of a difficult match to get into, but hopefully the production and metallic divisions, they can come up in that. But for a national team, I think the score is 1880, I think, or around the 1880 for the juniors.
Okay, so it's still pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's probably, reality is probably a tad high for a junior at this point in time. I think it could probably be low, but that'd be up to the national organisation to make a decision on that.
Yeah.
I think to encourage them, you'd probably bring it down.
Yeah, around the 1850 sort of thing.
Yeah.
So try and encourage them, give them an opportunity maybe to get closer to it and aspire to get to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, to get to the elite level of competition, it starts, obviously, you've got to find, like in any sport, you've got to find a sport you enjoy. You've got to have a natural aptitude for it. And then you start training, you get that trained skill comes together. And then when you get to the top level, it's putting that skill together with the psychology and the mental aptitude to perform on the big days.
Go on, Cherie.
Yeah, great. Oh, no, I agree with him. That's exactly right. I guess it's, I suppose for us, there's sort of two, there's a couple of big stages. It depends where you are in your shooting career. But the Bianchi Cup that we've talked a few times about, which is the US National Championships, always held in Missouri in the US. It's just a strange beast. Like, we've shot at, all of us have shot at other events, but you get to Bianchi, and if you're on the mover the last day and that last sequence that Bryan has talked about, there's TV cameras watching you, and there's a crowd building up behind you. It's a different beast when you stand out on that mover by yourself and you've got to perform. That is where all that psychology work has to come together on that day for you.
Very important. Right, we've got a question for Bryan. What do you see as the most important part of your role as a referee?
I always say that one of the most important parts of the job as a referee, apart from obviously making sure that the match is always shot within the rules, the referee and any range official should look at their job, that they are there to help the competitor shoot to the best of their ability. And I think that's just as important as the role of making sure that everything is shot the rules of the match.
Yeah, it's important, obviously, that people understand the rules, and as you move up through the divisions in any part of pistol shooting, you should understand the rules, and it's probably an important point at the start is to learn the rules.
Also, what the NRC has done in the last few years, they've allowed the referee to actually shoot in the match and to actually compete in the nationals themselves, and I actually think that's great, because it gives the referee the opportunity to see what the ranges are like, and you get to know some of the difficulties that the competitors may experience themselves, because every single range is a little bit different, and there's things that you don't see unless you actually shoot on that range yourself.
Oh, that's great. So good one there. So a question here, who is, for all of you, who is the best action pistol shooter in the world that you have seen during your careers?
Doug Koenig.
I guess there's no, yeah, is it arguing? What did you say, Bryan?
Doug.
Yeah, yeah. He's won the Bianchi Cup 19 times, hasn't he? So it's hard to go past Doug. How many?
Yeah, 17.
17, yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to go past him. He's phenomenal.
Holds the record for the highest score, and that's a 1920 with 187 X's.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it?
So he missed the X count, X-ring 5 times.
Yeah.
That's having a day. Well, that's an interesting point. When you're competing, do you find times when you're right in the zone? So all of a sudden you seem like you've got more time, the target looks bigger, the sight picture comes up instantaneously. Do you have those moments when you're competing? Are you just absolutely in the zone?
Oh yeah, that you can have that where you don't even realise how much time you've got left. All you're doing is shooting. You know, you've gone from that. I suppose the big thing is when you've prepared properly, and this even happens for new shooters. That preparation is important, as you talk about knowing the course of fire, knowing your equipment's right, having everything down. So the only thing you've got to do is walk down the line and just switch the brain off and just do what's in front of you. That's when you're at your best. If you've got to stick a conscious thought process into it, it gets ugly. So you want that, and that's where the training and the practice comes in. And even the new guys that want to get into it, they're going to improve in small parts because they're still consciously doing the match. They're consciously thinking, what are they doing next? Am I finding the right sight picture? What do I need? What's my trigger control like? All of those things, if they're a conscious thought, it's not going to happen until that becomes a subconscious act.
Cherie, you want to add to that?
No, but there's wonderful moments when you're on the mover and it just, like you shoot a shot and it just comes back perfectly. There's just no effort to it. And like Craig's saying, when you try and replicate it manually, that's when it's sort of the wheels fall off a bit. So it's exactly what Craig's saying. Like it's the training, it's all that training just building up to so that you can do it, so you can rely on that routine and rely on that consistency.
So we've got a question here from Rob. Where is the best place to buy an open gun?
Most open guns are built on a standard format. So no manufacturers actually manufacture an open action pistol. So as they do, they build open IPSC pistols, but they don't build an open action pistol. So you have to just talk to the guys at the clubs and see who's built their guns, what format they've built it on. And that's where, again, for new shooters, I haven't seen an action shooter anywhere. If someone wants to come up and have a shot of their gun, they tell them no. So go to your local range, find out the guys that have got the guns and have a feel. See whether you want a 1911, a 2011, a CZ, or whatever format you want to, you can build an open gun on.
Very, very occasionally, you'll see a second-hand one come up, but it's only occasionally, maybe 3 or 4 times a year you'll see second-hand ones, but they're pretty rare.
So here's a question, I guess, again, for all of you. This is from Linda. If you start as an ISSF shooter, how difficult would it be to cross to a different discipline?
I was an ISSF shooter. And I guess it's just the speed. You just have to practice that speed and learn that speed. But I think the advantage for ISSF shooters is I actually prefer the back half, so the further distances on the mover where I'm shooting 3 rounds instead of, because I feel it's a bit more precision like. So that you can bring a few advantages from your ISSF days.
And Bryan, up there on the range, obviously you guys were looking to do some improvements to the range. What sort of things you got planned and how can you progress with those now? Obviously in isolation, can you get trades? Can you get people to come and do some work? It's probably fairly difficult.
We've always got plans for improvements for the range up here. We put a lot of work in last year just before the Nationals. Maybe we were crazy, but we were never totally happy with our mover. So about 6 weeks out from the Nationals, we decided to rip it out and rebuild it. But we're pretty happy with the range setup at the moment. However, yeah, there is more things that we'd like to do here. I put some plans up on the club's Facebook page today, just for the members' information of what's going on here. If anyone wants to see our vision for the future, we've got plans on our Facebook page. And obviously, it always comes down to the money issue, but everything's got to start somewhere. So, yeah, we may be starting with some of that work soon, hopefully.
Very good. Cherie, you've got a beautiful cabinet behind you there with a lot of trophies. Are they all yours?
No, some of them are Mark's. Mine are the big ones, though.
Is your World Championship Cup there?
Can we
take a little bit of a look at it?
Yeah, so these are, this and the other one was for the World Championships. The other one was the ladies team. Anita and I took out the team position as well. And these two, if you can see that, this one and this one are the two Bianchi Cups that I've won.
And you get to put yourself up there on a flag. I think when you go back to Bianchi as a champion, yeah. Flags up on the side of the range. I had a photo somewhere. I'm going to try and find it a bit, but we'll go to a few questions.
Okay.
Here's another one from Joe. What sort of technical training do Action Pistol do or should do during self-isolation period time?
I guess we sort of covered. Oh, go on, Craig.
No, you're right. I was just going to say, more so the just having your good time to settle down and get your equipment right. You can take a lot of the issues out of what you're going to do in the next year when we start shooting again. You know, I myself personally had a few problems this year, and I've taken this time to get my equipment sorted out before we get back into it again and get the timing back. The big thing you lose is that timing. If you can do it with a pro timer, you know, you set it on a time and just do some drawing just to get that timing back down. As I said earlier, that's the important thing, is knowing how long you've got to do things, and you can very, very quickly lose that timing out of your system. So you can ride a push bike, but you know, next time you get back on, it might not be so good. So you just try to keep the timing down.
A good time to load ammo too, because most of us all use hand-loaded ammunition. So it's probably a good time to get in the shed and load up a swag load of ammo.
Well, why don't you take us through some of that, the self-loading and power factor, and obviously the guns got, or the ammunition's got to go through the chrono. So take us through that part of being an action pistol shooter.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to ask. I just turn up and shoot the ammo that's Mark's loaded for me. So Craig's probably better to answer that.
You want me to take this?
Yeah.
You take it, Craig.
There you go. So that's my shed. So I have different presses. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough to have different presses set up for.
This isn't the shop.
Different matches. Sorry, Brian?
This isn't a shop, is it? It's your reloaded setup.
Yeah, just my bench. So
it looks industrial level there, Craig. Like you've really got yourself set up, mate. You've got all the gear.
Well, mate, I call it the doghouse. If I get kicked out, I've got somewhere comfortable to go. But but with your reloading, mate, it's important just to get it right. You know, have things set up to do what you want them to do. And as Cherie said, you know, now's a good time to load ammo, get your equipment right, and power factor is important, but you've got to make sure that the power factor works for you and for your gun. So the different types of guns, or, you know, you don't want the same load in your metallic gun that you're shooting in your open gun, because it's going to be a little bit heavier and harsher to shoot. So you've got to play around and get the loads right, and that may be change of projectile or powder or whatever to get that feeling that the gun's not bouncing around everywhere.
So Brian, take us through the power factor and the reason why you've got to have a minimum power factor.
we have a minimum power factor, so everyone's competing on a level playing field, basically. The power factor is a number that's basically projectile weight times by velocity. Minimum power factor is 120. I don't know. I would say most people actually shoot with the power factor probably above, especially in the semi-autos, above 130. Mine's about 136. You see some revolver shooters that they'll try and get it down to as close to 120 as they can. But in competition, we take loaded rounds at random, and we actually fire them from a common gun over a chronograph, which measures velocity. So we can check the power factor of the ammunition that the competitor is using. And you don't want to fail power factor. You know, you could have a great weekend, you've shot a fantastic match, you're really happy with your score, and then it comes to power factor and your rounds are a power factor below 120, well, you're disqualified. So so you certainly want to make sure you've got your ammunition right. What power factor do you shoot at, Craig?
It's I'm probably running about 128 power factor around that area.
Yeah.
So it also comes down to how accurate the load is. Some rounds or some guns, you may have to pick the pace of the bullet up a bit to get it to settle into an accurate load, and some of them shoot accurately slower. So you've got to play around with the loads to find out what's going to work out of your gun. And you know, I've seen 3 guns come from the same place, built by the same person, and the same load doesn't shoot out of all 3. So you've got to muck around with your own individual gun to do what you want it to do. And the only way you can do that, you can have a start area to work on. You ask guys at the range what load they're using, try it, and you may have to play around a couple of grains more or less.
So the point for anyone who doesn't understand the power factor is so you get a bit of recoil on the shot, so you can't obviously have something soft and the gun's pointing at the target the whole time. You've got to have a bit of recoil. You've got to get the gun back into the position.
So just to explain power factor easy, if you've got 120 grain bullet and you're going to make 100, your power factor is going to be 120. That bullet's got to be doing 1,000 feet to make 120 power factor. That gives you, so, you know, the lighter the bullet, the faster you've got to go. The heavier the bullet, the slower you go.
In the background, before you get to the range, it's quite technical. Obviously, as you said, you've got to set up your equipment and get the load that you're comfortable with. And then you've got to try and, obviously you load your own, or most of you all load your own, except for Cherie, she's got her own personal loader. But
loader, yeah.
Yeah. But it's all about controlling, it's quality control for your own competition, really, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. You just, we don't get malfunctions like they do on ISSF. So if your gun doesn't work and you lose 3 shots, you lose 3 shots. You don't get a second go at it. So yeah, quality control is important.
It's critical, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into a whole bunch of questions here. We've got about 10 questions coming up here. Firstly here, what is one important tip you could all give action shooter for the mover? What's the biggest tip you could give someone?
Practice.
That's a good tip. And don't kid yourself, it's a hard match. So don't be disappointed if it actually is, you know, hard to get all your shots on like you found, Mike. But it's a hard match. So just work at it and work your timings out and you will improve with it.
Look, a good way for someone to start off is just stand at 10 yards with a fixed target and put a pro timer on the 6 seconds and see if you can hit the 10 ring 6 times in 6 seconds without the target moving first. Just get that, know in your own mind that you can hit the middle 6 times first without worrying about the target running across the range. Then develop the skills to chase the target after that.
And Bryan, there's a lot of different grades. So people coming into the sport, obviously we've just talked about some of the technicalities of loading and power factor and all that. When you first come into the sport, you're in the bottom level, you're at the bottom grade, you can build yourself up to that. You don't have to be an expert to come and try action.
That's exactly right. When if you compete in any open shoot around the States, yeah, all the shoots are graded, and really you should never look at the fact that you're competing with Cherie or Craig. Anyone should be only competing against themselves. They know their ability, and that's the level you should be competing at. It's because, you know, I'm not competing with Cherie. I'm not competing with Craig. I'm competing with myself. I know what level I should be shooting at, and that's what I want to do every time, and slowly get better. And that's why we have a graded system as well.
Yeah, and I guess pistol shooting is quite unique on a lot of sports. Is I could be an entry grade shooter and I get to rub shoulders with world champions, where you wouldn't quite get that in most sports. As you're working up, the elite level is quite separated from the grassroots, where here, the grassroots and the top of the elite compete all together. It's a wonderful thing.
And new shooters can watch, you know, the better shooters and work on their technique from it, like steal ideas off, oh, he goes to prone this way, or he does the barricades this way, and go home and practice it. Like, yeah, it's a great experience. And as Craig said before, people are very generous with their equipment. Like, it's very expensive equipment, but like Craig said, no, you know, it'd be a rare day where someone said, no, you can't have a go on my pistol. If you're looking at learning, people will show you and let them use their equipment. Like, shooters are genuinely very very generous with their equipment and their time.
Yeah, I've noticed absolutely that everyone seems to want to help everyone else out, and if it's a lower grade shooter, you want to try and give them some tips and help them to have a good day.
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay, another question here. How important was Clive Whelan to the sport in Australia, and how do you see his legacy? Firstly, you should explain who Clive Whelan is, and then we'll go from there.
So, Craig, do you want to explain that? Because
well, Clive was the one that brought action pistol to Australia. So, you know, I suppose as far as his legacy goes, is we'd like to be able to continue the match as long as we can. I know he was involved in the process that turned into a world championship, which before that happened, it was only the US Nationals, and that was it as far as the action match went. So now we've got world championships, and yeah, I suppose the match wouldn't be here without Clive. That's really what it is.
And just to show the respect that everyone had for Clive, the NRA actually renamed the barricade match as the Clive Whelan barricade match. So, you know, Clive had a lot of respect, not just from the shooters here in Australia, but obviously from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a legend and got it going. And Craig, you competed in the first Action Nationals. I've forgotten the year now, but down at St Ives Pistol Club.
St Ives Pistol Club, yep.
Yeah, going for a fair while.
When the match first kicked off, I was a bit more of an IPSC shooter then, but we had, it was really only, I think, two major matches around, was the Canberra Trophy and the St Ives Action Cup and the Nationals. They were the three major events that were around for action in the early times.
Yeah, 1989 there, you've got the date there in your bio.
Yep.
So it's been around for a while, and it's going strong. It's going strong.
Yeah, I think we've had, you have up and down years like every sport does, every division does, but I think when clubs get more and more people shooting it at their club, when the new members come along, they go, they wander around and look at the different events, and they pick and choose pretty much what match they want to go to. And I think it comes down to the people shooting the match. I know at Blacktown, we've got a lot of guys that are really good with people coming along. They bring them in, let them have a go with their guns, get them interested in the match. And then, as we talked about earlier, the production optics, I think, will bring a lot of people across to have a go. It's something they haven't had a go at before.
Yeah. Well, here's a good question. How can I start shooting action pistol if I want to join the sport? So obviously I'll take part of that. There is get onto Pistol Australia website, pistol.org.au, or get onto your state body, and they'll put you in touch with the club. And then obviously every club would be welcoming people to come into the sport and give them an opportunity.
Yeah, well, on top of that too, they need to do the PA holster course. So it's a good idea to find out, it depends what state you're in, but where the courses are being run, who's running them, and try and get involved that way. But on top of that, as Cherie said, she came from ISSF. Well, you know, when I first joined the pistol club, there wasn't action pistol, there wasn't anything other than ISSF and service pistol. So we all came from that background of a little bit of sight control and trigger control, and then worked our way along. But it doesn't hurt for them to learn a little bit about shooting first. And that'll give them a good, I suppose, it'll give them a good base or a foundation to work from when they come along to a match that requires accuracy, that they've got some sort of, again, foundation from the work to.
Technique and training, are there many coaches around in the action side of pistol shooting that are doing a great job?
Oh, I think each state's got people that they can go and talk to, and I think the coaching council, I know they were talking to me about it, and they're looking at probably running some courses in each state to give the newer shooters a bit of an idea on things to work on and how to improve what they're doing.
Okay, so here's another question. This is around production class guns. Is it out of the box, or are you allowed to modifications, e.g. change grips, trigger, or add any different sights? A production gun is straight out of the box, pretty much?
Oh, no, you can change the sights. You can change them to adjustable sights as long as they go in the same area where the sights came out of. So there's a lot
you can't mill the groove out. It's got to fit within the same dovetail.
Yep. So you can do changes. As I said, you can actually change the barrel. So as long as it's a fitting back in the same sort of system and fit it up, you can have an aftermarket barrel if you want to change it and make it more accurate. Grips wise, if it's I don't know, if it's a double action CZ, yeah, you can change the grips to something that suits you better.
Yeah, so slight modification, but
slight
not if it's a revolver, you wouldn't be allowed. You're not allowed orthopedic grips or anything like that.
Yeah,
it needs to be a standard grip.
Here's another question. How do you guys go with having enough ammo when traveling overseas? That's always a bit of a headache, isn't it?
Well, depends. Yeah. There's options for many years. I had a press over there, still have, and I would get in, and on the first day when you jet lag, load ammo, and hope you loaded it all right. Later times now, there are companies over there now you can order ahead of time and get your ammo loaded for you, so that when you get there, it's ready to go. And they'll load it pretty much to the same sort of speed that you have it set at home. Might not be the same powder, but as long as you tell them what speed you want, they'll get your ammunition to that speed.
Yeah, and you'd help people coming international. I know WA 1500 World Championship last year, one of the European guys, his ammunition was lost in transit. So everyone helped out and helped him, got equipment for him so he could reload. And that would happen the same at action as well. You'd help out, and people come here for the World Championship, everyone's going to pitch in and help them out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we did that. Go on, Bryan.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd jump in and help out. We've got a reloading press here at the range. If anyone needs to reload, wants to do their own reloading at the range, we've got one press here. We can easily get more. There's actually a place in Warwick, which is only about an hour from Toowoomba. Don't know why it's called Gold Coast Reloads. It's in Warwick, but it's called Gold Coast Reloads. And they actually will manufacture reloaded ammunition to your specifications.
Okay, someone here's asking, can we send some links and contacts to build and open guns? So what we might get that person to do, if they can email pawebinars@pistol.org.au, send us your email, send us your information. We'll get you guys, if you can send some stuff to Jess, and we'll answer that question offline for them, because obviously we can't put stuff up here now. So it's a bit of homework to take away. If you can send some information about that, it'd be fantastic. How can a beginner get into action shooting? We talked about that before. We can go again on that, just rehash on that one.
The thing I would say too is not all clubs are set up for action match, but if you go to some of the clubs, if there's not a club near you, when Mark and I first started, we didn't have a mover for a couple of years. So we would go to competitions and we would try and go a day early and ask if we could just practice it for a day on the mover when we got there. So and people will let you, people are very, like I said, most people are very generous in shooting, and they'll let you go and practice on their ranges and stuff like that. So you can set up, even if your club isn't ready for action match with the targetry, there's things that you can probably do to practice the skills that you need.
I don't know if it's the same in the other states, but here in Queensland, the matches have to be on your range approval. So we have to have action match on our range approval to be able to shoot it on a range. Mm-hmm. So as Cherie said, not all ranges are set up for the match, but a lot of the matches don't need any major setup. And if you can get them on your range approval, it's quite easy to shoot most of the matches. The mover is the hardest one to get set up if a range doesn't have a mover. But most clubs should be able to get the match going.
Okay, it's sort of along those lines here, a question from a newbie to pistol shooting. Do you compete in all 4 matches with the production metallic sights and open guns, or do you only compete with one type of gun? That's an option. If you've just got a production gun, you can just shoot the one match?
If you're looking at a one-day event, you're putting too much pressure on yourself to shoot 3 matches. It's a really full-on day to shoot all three categories in one day, or even 4 categories in one day. It just wouldn't be practical. Maybe if it's a 2-day event, you could shoot 3 categories, but yeah, that would certainly depend on the numbers of competitors that were at the event, I would say.
Yeah. So for newbies there, just pick one gun, maybe the reduction entry gun. It's the cheapest way to get in. Just start with that and get the hang of it, and then maybe work up to other equipment.
If you look at, to be honest, a lot of people have said for quite some time that production is the way forward for action pistol. Personally, I don't think it is. I really think now that production optics has been introduced, that certainly is the way forward for the match. And I would encourage people that if they wanted to get in and see what the match was about and looking at buying a firearm for the match, I'd be seriously looking at production optics.
Okay, so something, I guess, production optics, that's been introduced overseas, and obviously that'll come to the management committee here at Pistol Australia, and obviously that to be approved to be a match here in Australia? Well,
it's an approved match under Action Pistol, in the Action Pistol rule book. We did actually have at Toowoomba here, we were going to have a production only open competition in April. Obviously that's been canned for the moment, but when they brought in production optics, we were making it production and production optics, and that was going to be a sanctioned open at the club.
Yeah.
Obviously it takes more to get these things included at state championships and national championship level, but what we as competitors need to do is to show that it's worthwhile doing this, and if we get if we end up with 20 people at a club open shooting production optics, well that's great for the sport, and it shows that it is worthwhile for the state to take it on at a state championship level, and then obviously to a national level. But we've got to show that it's worth it from the grassroots level, I believe.
Okay, so can you use laser sights for action pistol?
Bryan?
No, why would you?
Okay, but on your open gun, you've got the red dot. So that talk about that one on the mover there. You've got the mover, the sight is going to set the gun on the lead, and it's got the red dot.
Yeah, the red dot, the open gun, it's just like a crosshair scope. The dot's actually inside the scope. It doesn't project out. So instead of having a crosshair, you just have a red dot in the middle. Yeah, there's no projection of it from the scope.
Okay, here's one from Linda Ryan. Craig, I don't understand this one. How many 1050s are there? Impressive. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, well, no, yeah. There's 650s and there's 5 of them and 2 not on the bench. There you go.
Okay, there you go. She's talking about your collection. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question. What class would a full house service revolver fit into?
Metallic. Fit in a metallic division.
Yeah.
Metallic division. Okay. Metallic division. There you go. Well, that.
I was just going to say one thing about production. People coming in at production optics, or service people crossing over from service people crossing over into metallic and production. When you come in and production optics, don't look at what the open shooters are shooting and go, I'm going to do that with those guns. They're actually harder to shoot, but easier to sort of get hold of. So don't try and go, oh, I want to shoot a 19, or you can shoot a 1920 with a metallic gun. It's been done before over in America. But my point is, don't get disheartened with the scores, because it is a harder match when you're using those production and metallic guns. So don't try and compare yourself to someone shooting an open class. As Bryan said before, just try and, look at your own scores and try and improve on that, or look at the people in your grade, or look at the people in your class or your category of firearm.
Going back to the revolver question before, there is a slight difference between, say, a service pistol revolver and a revolver for metallic sights in action pistol, as in a lot of the revolvers you'll see people use slider grips. For an action pistol metallic revolver, you're not actually allowed a thumb rest for when you're shooting weekend. Whereas with service, you'll have a thumb rest on the grip.
Okay, so there's some technicalities there that obviously as people come to the range and ask the questions of people who've had more experience, and all those things will start to fall into place. I think that's just wrapped up our questions there. So I'm just going to put a slide up for everyone if they want to contact their local organisation, state body. There's all the information up there on the screen. If you want to try and get involved with pistol shooting around the country, there's your state bodies. You can also get onto pistol.org.au, the website, and there's a search function there to find your local club. You can email us at pawebinar@pistol.org.au. So we encourage people to get involved and come and be part of the sport. And as a final wrap up, have you guys entered the competition that we're running for the new cover page on Facebook?
No.
I'll put it up and let you
But
know.
I will.
If you're watching. So what we're asking for is every week we're going to put up a competition. You get to enter photos for the cover page, and that'll run through to 5 o'clock on Saturdays. And the picture with the most vote will be the cover photo for the Facebook and Twitter for the remainder of the next week. And also we'll post that on Instagram. So I'll just put that little one up for people to see. Where is it? I've lost it again now. 1 second. So let me just put this one up for you. So everyone understands what that is. Okay, I'm having a bit of trouble getting that picture to come up, so we'll just try something else. Let's see if I can get this. I'll just try and get this to come up here, guys. I'm having a bit of trouble with this this particular picture. Let's see what we can do. There we go. Let's get this up. does not want to share. I'm terribly sorry, but I'll give you the information on it. I can't get it to come up. Starts every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern Australian Standard Time, closes at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoons. To enter, you post a photo in the comments of the post announcing the category for the week. To determine the winner, you like all your favourite photos, and the photo with the most likes at 5 o'clock on Saturday will be the cover photo, and that'll become the PA Facebook and Twitter pages for the following week. So have a look at Pistol Australia on Facebook, and you can see that. I just can't get the photo to come up at the moment, but let's get online at Facebook, or you can check all this out. Obviously, all our social feeds go to the Pistol Australia website, which again is pistol.org.au. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Bryan, Cherie and Craig, for your time this afternoon. I want to thank all our attendees who came on and asked questions. And this is webinar number 2 wrapped up. And we'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock. Thanks for being with us. You guys want to say something?
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.